Hello there, gardener. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you guys how I make a very easy broccoli and cheddar soup, which is a great way to use up a lot of broccoli or anything in the brassicas family really that you may have been growing in your garden and have been harvesting a lot of. This right here is Piracicaba Brazilian sprouting broccoli, and it's my absolute favorite broccoli type thing to grow, especially if you're a hot climate gardener like me. It just grows and produces fantastic for me, way better than heading types of broccoli. So this is what I'm going to be using today, but you can use regular broccoli as well. And just so you know, I do have a growing guide that teaches you how to grow Piracicaba Brazilian sprouting broccoli from seed all the way to harvest, and I have seeds on my website if you want to try growing the same one. During that video, I had mentioned that one of my favorite things to make with this type of broccoli is broccoli cheddar soup, and one of my viewers asked me if I could please share the recipe, so that's why I'm doing this video today. If this is the first time that you're watching one of my videos, I just want to let you know I'm not really a cooking channel, I'm a gardening channel. So if you're looking for gardening related information, I encourage you to look at the rest of my videos. But every now and then I like to make videos showing you guys my recipes because I have a lot of unique recipes that use up things that I grow in my garden. So this is a great recipe if you're also growing Piracicaba Brazilian sprouting broccoli or just any kind of broccoli in general. To get started, I've already prepped up all of my ingredients except for the broccoli. I gotta chop this up. But we're using regular like sharp cheddar cheese. We have onions, carrots, some different seasonings that include salt, pepper, paprika, and powdered chicken bouillon. I've got some minced garlic, some butter, and some all-purpose flour, and that's really all you need for this recipe. I'll put the recipe, ingredients, and how much of everything I'm using in the description below. If you want to find a printable version of this recipe, go visit my website. I do have a recipe blog type of section where I will list this same recipe there, so that way you can copy it, save it, share it, whatever you want to do, or even print it. All right, so this is Piracicaba Brazilian sprouting broccoli. Like I said, it's not a heading type of broccoli. It forms more like these side shoots, and this is what you harvest. The entire part of the plant is edible. Same thing with broccoli. So I encourage you to use any stem portions in this recipe. So if you're using Piracicaba Brazilian sprouting broccoli, use the whole thing like this. If you're using a heading type of broccoli, use all of the florets and any stem pieces that come with it. This is about 2 pounds of Piracicaba Brazilian sprouting broccoli. This is going to make a huge batch of broccoli cheddar soup. I like to make just one big batch, and that way I can freeze it and have soup ready for a long time. All right, so I rinsed off all of my broccoli. Now we're going to chop it up into fine pieces. While I work on this, let's get started with cooking in the big pot. This is a big soup pot, the biggest one I could find. Let's turn the heat on high, and we're going to add half of our butter right now because we're going to start sauteing the vegetables. And we're going to reserve the other half for when we make the roux to thicken up our soup. All right, so the butter has started melting. We're going to add in our onions, garlic. This is minced garlic, and shredded up carrots. By the way, I used my KitchenAid stand mixer with the shredder attachment to shred up all these carrots and my cheddar cheese. And we're just gonna cook this down until the onions get nice and soft. All right, so let's chop up this broccoli. I'm just gonna eyeball this. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm chopping up the stems and leaves as well. Like I said, the entire thing is edible. And I'm cutting it in about 1-inch sections because you do want some chunky bits in there. All right, so everything's nice and chopped up. Our onions are getting translucent, so now we're gonna add the broccoli. Then we're gonna mix everything together. We kind of just wanna soften up the broccoli as well. Then I'm gonna add a cup of water. That's just to keep everything from burning and just continuing the process of softening up while I get started on making my roux. The roux is what we use to thicken up this soup. I prefer to make my roux separately because sometimes I make my roux like too much of it, and then if you add too much roux into the actual soup, it thickens up way more than what I like. So I like to make it separately and then add a little bit as I'm cooking until I get it to the consistency that I like. For the roux, we're gonna add the other half of the butter. And to keep this cooking down, I'm gonna add 2 cups of water. I'm also gonna add in my seasonings. This is salt, pepper, paprika, and a little bit of powdered chicken bouillon. All right, so the butter has melted. Let's add the flour. And you're gonna wanna whisk this together to basically cook the flour. Otherwise it has like a weird raw floury type of taste. It's gonna get clumpy like this. This is absolutely normal. Cook this for about 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so the roux's done, that's what it looks like. Like I said, I like to put in a little bit at a time so I can control the consistency. Half of the roux, dissolve it, and then check the consistency of the soup before adding more. Our broccoli is getting pretty softened up. Now I'm gonna add enough water to just cover the surface of the broccoli. So I'm liking the consistency, but I'm gonna add just a little bit more. I didn't use up the whole roux. I probably used up about 3/4 of it. And then we're just gonna mix everything really good and cook this down. And lastly, I'm gonna put a lid on it. Now I'm gonna reduce the heat to low. We don't want it to be like boiling hot because we're gonna start adding the cheese and the heavy cream. Sometimes when I'm cooking with heavy cream, I find that if I add it to my dish while it's piping, boiling hot, the heavy cream might like separate, kind of gets kind of weird instead of being nice and creamy. So I like to add it like at the very end once everything is absolutely done and cooked. All right, so it's been 30 minutes and as you can see, everything is really, really cooked down and soft. Now it's at a low simmer. We're gonna add the heavy cream. Okay, looks good. And as you can see, it's starting to look like broccoli cheddar soup. Last, we're gonna add the cheese. This is a lot of cheese. And stir this around so everything gets nice and melted. Now we're pretty much all done with this recipe. At the end of anything really that I cook, I like to do a taste test and just adjust my seasonings if needed. So I just take a little sample. It tastes good, but it's lacking just a little bit of brightness. I don't know how to explain that. Brightness, freshness, acidity, something like that. So many times whenever I make a soup, I like to add just a little bit of vinegar. You can use white vinegar or apple cider vinegar and use like 1 teaspoon at a time and then keep tasting it until you feel like it's at the level that you like. I just feel like this makes the flavors come out more. I'm just gonna eyeball it, 1 teaspoon. So yeah, whenever you taste something and you feel like it's missing brightness, saltiness, freshness, something like that, try putting a little teaspoon of vinegar and see if that brightens it up. Or other times when I think it needs some freshness, adding herbs really helps with that. That definitely helped a lot. It just brought out those flavors a lot more. I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt, and this is, again, your preference. You could also add more cheese if that's what you feel like it needs. If you wanna make it more creamy, add some more heavy cream. I'm gonna add a little bit more of freshly cracked black pepper. And there we go. It's all set. It's finally at a flavor level that I really enjoy. And I think the most perfect thing that goes well with broccoli cheddar soup is some sourdough bread. I actually made this one myself. I'm kind of new at making sourdough bread, but I absolutely enjoy baking it myself. The flavor is just a million times better than anything you could buy at the grocery store. And I'll definitely have to make some videos about how to make sourdough bread at home and keep your starter alive without having to feed it every single day, because I don't have time for that. I literally feed my sourdough starter like once every 2 or 3 weeks. It's possible and it works. So I'll do a video about that for people who have busy lives and cannot be maintaining a sourdough bread starter every single day. But this one came out great. Look at that. So we'll be cutting this bread and serving it alongside with our broccoli cheddar soup. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this recipe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.